light you hear spoken of in the Bible. Now that light is made of free electrons. This is very important. There is no duality yet. Free electrons. That light of God is made. But those electrons have a dual personality, a dual character. This is important. They have one characteristic of a particle. A particle. Something, a particle. The other characteristic is of a wave. And it is that characteristic that gives them the characteristics of light. And that's what it means when it says God created light. First from his thought. First from his thought he condensed this substance known as light. Just free little electrons. And I will tell you finally what those are. But those electrons have two characteristics. One is that of forming particles, the other is the wave action. Now, the fact that these electrons have those two characteristics, and the fact that matter is made from atoms of light, matter itself has those two characteristics of duality. One of forming particles of solidity, and the other of the wave action or light. Light and shadow come because light is made up of electrons with those two characteristics. That's a very important point. And from that comes all the dualities. Now going on with the creation, God created from his great thought and consciousness first light, then the light was further condensed into atoms. Atoms. And the essential part of atoms is light. Light atoms is the subject from which even solid iron is made. That doesn't seem possible, does it? From the light atoms, everything is produced. Then those atoms form into particles. Now there you have the creation in a few words. But remember that it is the fact that the electrons have that dual personality of forming particles, solid substances, and the wave action of light that we get this world of light and shadows, this dream of God, this cosmic delusion. And everything in this world, whether it be an automobile, which is a good automobile or a bad automobile, a person, you like them or you don't like them, you have health, you have wealth, you have sickness, all those opposites come because those little electrons have that dual personality. And from the atoms of light, all things have come. And so remember, this light that I have spoken of, this light, free electrons, is the essential essence of the atom. And the electron microscope has proved that the atoms are formed from light. And then from that, due to the intelligence of God, how he does it, that's beyond us, all things are made. And so we have, in a few words, the story of creation from the standpoint that it is made from light. There is no material universe. It is simply light and shadow. Now, light is the essence of the atom. Free electrons, this is the important point. Free electrons, with its dual characteristics, plus the will of God, made the atom. And remember, the energy that holds that atom together, which you read about, the explosion of atoms, the energy that holds that atom together is nothing but what Einstein is trying to prove in his unified field theory, that the atomic energy, which has made and sustains the light atoms, is nothing but what? The thought of God. Mind stuff, plus triggered by the will of God, produces his thought. That is Einstein's unified field theory, which the Master spoke of in that little poem I read to you, Thy Secret Throne. So you can see there, step by step, how the yogis knew years and years ago. Now science is saying it, that it comes from the one omniscience of God. Nothing else. Everything from his omniscience. And we have proof of this, which I will not go into due to the shortness of time. There are certain equations which show these things. One is that only a material body whose mass is infinite could equal the velocity of light. What's that mean? In simple terms, it simply means you and I. must expand our consciousness to the omniscience of God, then, as God does, we can do. Now, that's the key to the law of miracles. Remember that. The key to the law of miracles is to be the omniscience of God. Be that light. Then you're not subject to the light in this shadow world, the law in the shadow world. You're not subject to that at all. You're subject to the laws of omniscience, which means that your consciousness is everywhere, and that the force of the universe is your consciousness. Because Jesus said, "These things I do, ye shall do, and greater things, because I go to my Father." We are made in the image of God, but we have to first realize that omniscience. Everything comes from that omniscience, which is the light of God, made from these little free electrons. Think of the work of his great mind, his intelligence. You cannot comprehend it. How from that one little thing, which the electron microscope pointed out, that dual nature of the electron, one to look like a particle, the other to look like a wave. How this great universe has been formed. That's the greatest miracle, the miracle of light. And to go on to a conclusion, I'd like to read just a word from the autobiography about this law of miracles, and then I will be through. First, as I have said, God is light. And in 1 Timothy, the 6th chapter, the 15th and 16th verses, we read this here. The King of Kings. Science, as I have said, is showing every day that everything is reduced to electricity and finally into the light of God, the flame of God. And so in Timothy we read, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, who only hath immortality. There's only mortality